All right, back on the revolution. I'm still amped up over that Josh Shapiro, John Fetterman segment, which I think I called at one point the Josh Fetterman segment. But anyways, all right, on to fixing the country and the planet in this case. We got a great guest for you guys, Heather Fipps. She's the executive director of Context Collab, and they got a big event called the Hollywood Climate Summit. I want to find out about it. Heather, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Hi, nice to see you, Cenk. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So tell me about Context Collab. What is that?
Yes, so we are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to direct cultural attention to climate issues by leveling up how they appear and resonate in the media that we already know and love. So that looks like film and television, but also social media, video games, music, podcasts, digital series as well. So everywhere that the media ecosystem is interacting with our lives in a daily way, adding climate context and resonance to the human story so that people are reaching this information and connecting with it in different ways.
Yeah, so let's keep it real. You know, Trump's president, we got 3 more years, so we're gonna go backwards for at least 4 years. And climate change feels like it's totally fallen off the map in terms of the national conversation. So what do we do? How do we have hope?
It's the perfect question, and I think it's why I really emphasize the word attention and why media is an incredibly strategic tool that we need to use right now. Because when policy is stalled, when corporate interests are getting in the way of how they can move about the world, when our participation at a national level is blocked, we need culture to shift the will of the people and communicate and command our attention. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that climate was enough on the agenda. Even in the last election cycle, it was hardly discussed, it was hardly brought up. And so it needed to be a mission for a long time to really direct our attention. And I think part of what feels challenging about this issue for people is that it feels too big, too abstract. And what gets in front of us is the everyday pain, the everyday challenges that we're experiencing. But where climate is really important to direct our attention to is that it's an issue amplifier. It's connected to everything that is affecting us. It's going to worsen issues that are social issues in every possible way. And we need to direct and connect our attention and our understanding of climate so that it becomes a top agenda, regardless of what administration is in power, and frankly, regardless of what commands our attention in other ways, like we're seeing happen with AI and other issues. It's just very easy to get distracted, but it's the one thing that's going to make everything intensely more difficult in navigating.
Yeah, so let's talk about an example. It was the movie Don't Look Up. It was #1 on Netflix of all time for a while. It was a great movie, terrific director, hottest director, Adam McKay, co-written by David Sirota, who was on this show just yesterday.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was, near perfect for what you would want to do. So tell me about, okay, did that work? Do you think that changed some minds? How does something like that affect policy?
Absolutely. So I'm actually really thrilled to say that that specific project, I think it worked and it was very successful in a couple of ways. First, it commanded a lot of people's buy-in and attention just in the fact that it is, I believe, currently the #4 most watched movie on Netflix of all time, and has held that record for a very long time. I think it was only knocked down by demon K-pop hunters recently. But the other thing is that we work with an amazing team of social behavioral scientists who actually did a research on audience responses to their sentiment on certain issues and on specifically climate issues after watching that film. And after watching Don't Look Up, they did find that audience sentiment had moved to be more in support of voting for politicians who were advocates of climate, to be more in support of feeling like climate should be a priority in policymaking and decisions. That organization is called RARE. There's a case study available online that people can check out. But on a number of ways, it's been studied that it does affect people's opinions and sense of urgency on the issue. And I think more importantly, it broke through in commanding people's attention because it was a popular, successful entertaining film that also made a lot of people feel really connected to it in that way.
And so let's talk about preaching to the choir versus convincing independents or flipping right-wingers. So preaching to the choir, good, you're gonna need it anyway to get activism and energy and push things forward, especially within the agenda of the left to the different issues. But that's relatively easier, right? So can this kind of, whether it's entertainment, things in media, that all the efforts that you're talking about, can that actually begin to convince independents or flip right wingers?
I absolutely does. I think it's just going to resonate with them differently based on the different story tactics that are used. And so an example is that I feel most people feel pretty polarized by the news that they consume, but a lot of even polarized families can sit down at a dinner where they don't agree on anything, but they can discuss the TV shows that they are finding entertaining. They can talk about the social media clip that was very funny that they all found entertainment value from. So it actually, media tends to be a bridge that connects different ideologies. And then I think the way that we tell stories that speaks to different ideologies and political perspectives, if you have the show like Yellowstone, for example, where it's not going to talk about climate, it's not going to draw attention to it, but what it talks about in the narrative of that television show is pushing back against land development on rural areas. It has environmental values of conservation. It has indigenous conservation within the narrative of that is reaching across the aisle and in fact resonating more across the aisle. And I would say similarly, video games is a major opportunity where we see that there's actually a lot of sentiment and interest in environmental stories. A recent poll showed 81% of gamers said that they're interested in more environmental content in games. And I think gamers have quite a broad political ideology as well.
Yeah, so Yellowstone's actually a terrific example. I hadn't thought of that. I watched it, and you're right. There was a constant theme of conservation, which is also environmentalism. Let's protect the earth, right? And it was from the point of view of a very right-wing character and characters, but also Native Americans too. And it was powerful, and it's also that's resonant within the right-wing culture. They actually are conservationists, and in Utah, when the Trump administration, the first term, tried to federalize some land, they were like, no. We want to protect that land for just visiting, but also hunting, fishing, etc. So there are natural allies there, and you just have to know how to talk to them. So totally agree with that. Speaking of which, so what is the Hollywood Climate Summit in particular?
Yeah, so the Hollywood Climate Summit is an annual gathering where we bring together and collide professionals working in the creative media industries with climate experts and environmental advocates of all kinds. And we have a knowledge exchange where we illuminate ways that we can be bringing climate topics, nuance, current issues into the media that people are creating. Again, whether that's a podcast, whether that is a storyline in a television show. And we celebrate projects that are integrating that climate context into their work, and we reflect it back and break it down with experts. And we'll, take a look at things like Twisters working with meteorologists as experts, or Jurassic Park working with social scientists to really get their nature-based solutions narratives as tight as possible. And so looking at sort of like the ways that media is already reflecting some accuracy of our climate scenario and is connecting it with different storylines. And so it is a space for anyone that is an entertainment professional or media professional to come and really understand how their unique skills, where they are with the attention that they are getting through their work, can activate and bring people's consciousness to climate in a number of different ways that are going to organically and very authentically integrate into the stories that they're already telling. It's not painting it on thick or putting a very forward message that you're shoving down people's throat, but it's finding ways like Yellowstone that you can have a public lands conversation, or snow is not a part of your family vacation storyline, or a school garden storyline in your show about elementary school kids. So there's so many ways that this can come up and integrate into storytelling, and we unpack that and celebrate the ways that it's happening.
So if you could get one message to the American people through media or any other means to convince them to believe the scientists that climate change is very real and an enormous problem for not really the planet. I actually don't think it's the planet, it's us. The planet will just shake us off, right? And then it'll go back to being fine after we're gone. But I care about the humans. So I'm just curious, what do you think is the top message that could help convince Americans, no, guys, we really have to tackle this?
I would honestly say look to your own story and your own experience. Climate at this point is experiential. For the most part, everyone has experienced an extreme weather alert at this point. We have had many people lose their homes from flooding, from fire, from extreme weather events. We are noticing where we are changes in weather, in odd weather patterns, in drought. I think that if you look at your own story and you search and find out other ways that people are reflecting it and how it's affecting their lived experiences, and the more that we start to see that and connect the dots that we are all affected by this right now, not in the distant future, I don't think you need to be convinced that something is affecting you. And also there's the systemic issues of looking at increasing energy bills and costs that are happening. Insurance companies pulling the ability to cover homes if they're in highly climate impacted areas. These are things that are affecting people right now in their day-to-day lives. Those are the issues that I think are going to make people feel like it's affecting them and connect, that you don't need to be convinced when it's already happening to you. So I hope that people look to their own story, their own lived experience, and I hope that they find through other stories that people are telling and the ways that people are talking about it, that we are putting together the puzzle that of this is affecting all of us, and we have to urgently address this, or it's only going to increasingly, unfortunately, get worse.
Yeah. So look, I'm populist left, and Young Turks has been known to be on the left, obviously, right? It's not a surprise to anyone. But this showed the revolution is for right, left, and center, right? And so I think something that connects us, that is connected to climate change, is us having to pay for all the storms, the superstorms that keep battering us. And one of the questions that I have on behalf of all Americans is, why do we have to pay for that? That's a cost of the oil and gas industry. They created that cost, so why don't they pay for their own costs?
That is entirely correct. And I think that another angle that I would pose is that I would encourage people to look at the ways that media has largely been funded and directed our thinking around what we've been told to think or not think about climate, and where are those instincts coming from? Is it from narratives that are being told to us from sources? For example, the fossil fuel industry is spending $7 billion on media spend every year to tell us the story that this isn't happening, that if it is happening, it doesn't matter and it's too late, and that we need them forever, and there is no way that we can move away from a fossil fuel economy. Following the money also really helps illuminate that we are being told a story, that we are need to really come up with the counter narrative and our own understanding of what is happening.
Yeah, so wait, you said 7 billion, that's a very interesting number. So how do they spend 7 billion? Because I don't even know that in the media to push that message out.
Through advertising, through media spend, through putting out sort of positive portrayals of themselves, and that comes through cultural spend. Honestly, we have a lot of sports organizations that are funded through fossil fuel sponsorships. We have media spend and ad spend that is behind a lot of advertisement and marketing. So, and that funds a lot of the shows and things that we consume. So it's really important to understand that there is, and social media creators as well. I think that there's a lot of big industry that invests in cultural influencers to sort of push narratives that are trying to convince people of their agenda, not the truth.
Yeah, but would influencers be purchased by? Oh yeah, okay, never mind. Okay.
I don't know. I've never seen an influencer push a brand before. I don't think that would happen.
Or foreign government or anything along those lines. All right. So Heather, last question. What can the average person do that's watching this now to make a difference?
I would say two things. One, I really encourage everyone to vote with your attention. If you would like to see more storylines and media that is connecting us with our environmental values, reflecting a world that we want to live in aspirationally, I really encourage you to find that, support creators that are engaging with this. That goes a long way. What gets funded more in the media ecosystem is what has viewers and what has people paying attention to it. So go find the things that reflect your values environmentally, and that will help us create a bigger media landscape. And the other thing is own your own story. Like I said, look into your own lived experience, understand how you're connecting with the changes that are happening in our environment, and use your story to build power. When we put our stories out there, other people connect with them, and that has a ripple effect that turns into a movement where we all feel connected and we all feel courage because we feel emboldened from one another, feeling the same and connecting over an issue. So use your story and be sure to vote with your attention.
Yeah, I'll just add to that real quick that teams are so much stronger than individuals. So you never know who's gonna deliver on a team. And I've been watching sports my whole life, and it is very often the person you least expected, right? So join the team if that's the team you're on and you believe in that cause, and you never know what kind of difference you can make. All right, Heather Fipps, Executive Director of Context Collab. Thank you so much for joining us, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm actually gonna do a bonus episode for you all right now. Just a quick one, because I do have to run to the beginning of the birthday festivities with the kids. But let's do a quick one. I wanna read more of your comments, and if you got any questions, I'll take some last couple of questions from you guys, and I'll see you on Monday. Oh, by the way, Joe Kent will be on the show next week. Okay, so just found that out. That's gonna be huge. So make sure you tune in next week. We'll see you then. Members, stay here.